Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. My name is Sahra.
And my name is Christine.
Today, we have a special episode.
Stop it.
I know. I can't help myself.
We are back in the studio.
We're back in the studio, y'all. We have not been in the studio for like almost 3 month.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're finally back. We have so much to catch you up on. We have a brand new, fresh, new team. And we just have a new direction for this new season in our lives. So we're definitely going to get into that. But first, we wanted to do an episode in dedication to International Women's Month? That's what it's called. In the month of March, we did a series called We Are Our Mother's Wildest Dreams, where we kind of detailed our experience as African women living in the diaspora and compared it to how our mothers grew up. Because all of our mothers are from South Sudan. If you're not aware of our show, our parents are all from South Sudan. Janet's parents are from Uganda, but we all have similar experiences as far as growing up here in the diaspora. So,
yes, if you guys did miss it, we did do a series of lives in every single one of those episodes. We had some amazing ladies on there. We had Nak Nora, we had Grace Mayar, we had Nyadjwak on there, who actually authored a book titled I Am My Mother's Wildest Dream. We had Diana from Canada on there.
And she's a counselor. Nak is a Harvard graduate, and now she works in tech. Yeah.
Yes, she actually played basketball at Georgetown University, and she lived in South Sudan for a time, and then now she works in, I don't want to say cybersecurity.
I think that's what she said, yeah.
Yes, in the tech field for the last 8 years. So if you guys didn't see that episode, I definitely want you to check it out. She dropped a lot of gems on there career-wise. So we also had our first episode with all of the ladies that are on the panel. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and have Sarah introduce them so we can get into it.
Yes, so let's go ahead and introduce our panel. We're going to start with Vaida. Vaida, go ahead and say hi.
Hey everyone, it's Vaida. I'm really happy to be back. It's been I feel like it's been forever.
It has.
Oh my goodness. And I'm really happy to be back talking about Women's History Month and celebrating, the women on the panel and as well as the women we were raised by. So, yeah.
Amazing. Elisa, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, this is Lisa. I'm back in the studio, so I'm happy about being back. And that's pretty much it.
The green and the afro looks
it's
really
giving.
good.
Really?
With the
It's
earring,
really giving.
And the South Sudan person.
Mama Africa.
South Sudan.
Yes.
Right?
And then we have Cynthia. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, it's me, Cynthia, back in the studio. I'm excited to start this new season with you guys and collaborating and doing a lot of creative things.
Yes.
So excited. Executive creative director.
Yes.
Yes. Love it. And then
big
we
one,
have
not the little.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we have Miss Janet.
Hey y'all, Janet here. So happy to be back in the studio, y'all. It feels like forever, similar to what Vaida said, but back at it and excited for all the new fresh content that Ladies of Sosa has for you guys. So just excited to be a part of it. So
Awesome.
let's do it.
Yeah, so in the first series live that we did, we had all of these ladies on there, and we were just discussing how we are literally the embodiment of our mother's wildest dreams. Our mothers came from war-torn countries, and they were in survival mode, and they came here for a better life for us. And we were able to grow up first generation in America or wherever you live in diaspora and be afforded opportunities that our parents didn't get. So now we're kind of trying to dissect kind of how our experience differs from our mothers and the privilege that we have, but also the struggles that we face as well navigating this new space. So we had a really in-depth conversation. Obviously, we're all career women. We all are working, but we're also trying to balance the cultural expectations from women that are put on us as well. And we had a really, really good breakdown of that. So I'll let Sarah kind of get us into the first topic.
Yeah, I love, are we doing We Are Our Mother's Wildest Dreams? Is that the first?
I feel like we should just do everything
just
that we've
combine
been
it
talking
all.
about together.
I loved We Are Our Mother's Wildest Dreams because I love just kind of seeing the parallels between how my mom was raised and like the opportunities that she was afforded or was not afforded that I was able to achieve. For example, I talked about on the live that my mom, she has very basic level education. And the fact that when she brought me here to America for me to be able to go to college, for me to get my master's or do whatever I want to do. And that's something that she was not afforded. She was not able to do that because my dad was in the SPLA. He was in the war. So who's going to take care of the kids? And then plus they were in the middle of war. There is no school. There's no schoolings at the time. So I'm just very grateful to be able to even do this, like things that I could do in my early 20s or in my, late 20s. My mom was not able to do at all. So just discussing things like that. And I would love to hear some things that like you guys were able to achieve that maybe your mom wasn't able to do, or something that your mom was able to do that you weren't able to do. Yeah. So
I would say living by myself and experiencing just my individuality, my own space, and just being able to be selfish, because I see that now that me and my siblings are older. My mom's now going into that season of, okay, it's just me. You guys are all grown up. You don't need me anymore. What am I going to do? What do I like to do? Whereas on the flip side, I feel like now I get to just like the world is my oyster. I get to see what works, what doesn't work, what I like, what I don't like, so that when I do become a mother, a wife, and all of the things, like I have a sense of self first. So I definitely see that is something that our generation, we don't look at it as like that big of an achievement, like personally, in terms of just like, oh yeah, like I'm doing things by myself. But what a lot of our older generation didn't even get to experience. So they don't even know what that is, right? So they came from war to America, and it's like, now I have kids, now I'm a wife, now I have to like tend to all these things. And I just put me on the back burner, where we get to say, what do I want to do? And then I get to decide if I want to add all of that to my plate. So
yeah.
How do you navigate the freedoms you have now, knowing the sacrifices made for you to be able to live this life, or for you to be here?
Yeah. Well, I think gratitude is the number one thing, because I know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom's sacrifices.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to get my education and, be at a good job and take care of myself if my mom didn't sacrifice what she did, even coming into America and raising us. Like, she didn't have to keep going hard and keep trying and doing all of those things, but she did. And I know that what I am trying to do in my life, it's always to make sure that I'm good, but also my family's good, especially my mom, because I want to make sure that she's not having to still be in survival mode and still having to work and do things where it's like, you've already done that. Like, now you can rest, you can be at ease. If you want to garden at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, like, you could go do that. If you want to just go like live a softer life, you deserve that. So I feel like just moving through gratitude helps me stay grounded, and also understand that my successes and blessings are not just my own.
Yes.
Anyone else, ladies? You want to add on to that, or a different?
Can I get more specific? We talk about the sacrifices, but can we get more specific? What are some of those sacrifices?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know they might not be the same for every single one of us.
What sacrifices did our
yeah,
mothers?
like what are some of the sacrifices that your mom made? Because I know it's going to be different for all of us.
I know for me, growing up, my mom was a single mom. So the first memories that I do have of like seeing my mom sacrifice was when we were in elementary school. And she used to work overnight actually with Christine's dad. So that was that. Yeah.
In America.
So she used to work overnight, but she had to take the bus, take the train to go to work. Because my mom didn't know how to drive yet. But I was responsible to like make sure the door is locked, make sure I got my siblings up in the morning, and like she had food for us and things like that. But that was the first time where I'm like, Mom, it's like 10 o'clock. Why are you leaving to go to work? But it's like she had to go to work. She had to make sure that we were okay. But she also had to trust me to like hold things down for the house and like be more responsible. So I think like from the work ethic side, I just seen my mom like do things and work jobs and work 2 jobs and just like do things to make sure that we were okay and we were safe and had the things that we needed. We didn't always have everything that we wanted, but we had the things that we needed so that we can show up, go to school, do what we need to do. And ultimately, I feel like I'd never forget those sacrifices.
Right.
I can agree to that, because my mom, when she came to Africa, she came without my dad. And so he stayed behind because he was, they were still working. He was in government, you know. And so he had to stay behind, and my mom came with the kids, and she had to work 2 jobs while, my dad was back home. And I didn't realize the sacrifices at the time because I was so young. But growing up, it's like she didn't really have a personal life. She just, all she did was work, work, come home, take care of the kids. And imagine she's from a different culture, a whole different society. So she still has to navigate learning like how culture and society works here in America, and then also raise kids on top of that, and also worry about my dad because everything was just so uncertain. So those are like huge sacrifices that I don't think I could make right now at this age because like I have so much freedom. She didn't have like things were just her cards were just dealt to her. So yeah, I think that's like a huge sacrifice is just having to adjust into this lifestyle in America.
I often think about how our generation, we have the luxury of choice. Like our parents didn't have the luxury of choice, whether it's our fathers or our mothers. We can get up and be like, I'm going to apply to this job today, and I'm going to go out, even though I might not have the credentials to do it, I'm going to do it. You have that confidence snap. But I think our parents is kind of like, these are your options. Matter of fact, it's not your option. This is the only thing you can do right now because this is what everyone else in the community is doing,
Yeah.
But I think we're blessed to have the privilege to be able to choose.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, we came and whether you're born here or you came, really, really young, you had the opportunity, like, okay, you go to elementary school, middle school, high school. Now you can choose what college you want to go to.
Right.
They weren't necessarily afforded that opportunity. So
Yeah.
luxury of choice is something I don't take for granted.
That's a great point.
That's
I love
good.
that.
I would add also the fact that our parents still had to kind of play that traditional gender role,
Yeah.
even
sure.
though they were working 1 or 2 jobs. My mom, I remember my mom would still come home and still cook.
Yeah.
Like we always
To
ate
this
at
day.
home. Yeah. And I think about that. I'm like, some days I get home from work and I don't
It's
even have
popcorn
kids.
and wine.
Or you
Popcorn and wine.
Exactly. So the fact that like everything was going on and they were still like taking care of us and making sure we had clean clothes, making sure that we weren't acting crazy, making sure we had like a hot home cooked meal to eat. I always wonder how my mom did it because she has like a demanding job, but she always cooked. She always made sure everything was taken care of. And I think that's a luxury that we have in addition to like living alone and having freedom of choice and stuff, is that we have that room to discover ourselves without the weight of raising a family.
Yeah, my mom was literally, she is the same way. And I feel like because the world just, they devalue the labor of a woman. And it wasn't until I was older that I really like was able to look at my mom and be like, wow, like it wasn't until I started working and I had a demanding job. And my mom, she's a nurse, she works nights, she's on her feet, 12-hour shifts, like she does that. And like, she just gave up so much. And it's just, I don't even think she understands how big of a sacrifice she does, because since she was a young girl, she was kind of trained how to maintain a house, how to take care of everybody. And I just see her and I'm just like, wow, like you do so much. Like I was talking to my parents a week ago, and then we were just joking, and my dad was like, yeah, daddy comes first, right? And I'm like, no, mom always comes first. Like, no,
because not happy, nobody
mom always comes first, because like she puts women just are taught to put everyone before them. And I'm just like, the labor that she did outside of, the house, and her coming home, and also the role that women play, especially South Sudanese women play in our community. Anytime there's a manasaba or whatever, there's a bika. Anytime there's something, women are the ones that are coming together, making the food, grieving with the families. Like they
Cooking
are the pillars of our community, So there would be no community without the women that, raised us, and they do so much. And I feel like the best way to give it back is just to like relieve any burdens they have on them, because they do a lot.
They do.
Right.
And I do want to add, you had mentioned like the flip side to the question. I think like even our parents, when we talk about the sacrifice, I feel like in having the power of choice now, it could be easy to be a little selfish, because you're like, do that? I got to raise kids, I got to work, I got to do all this. And I think our parents did it just so effortlessly from our eyes, because again, like coming from another country, still upholding those cultural values and still shaping our childhood the way that they knew from back home, I think helped them have like a sense of foundation of knowing that they had to do what they needed to do in order to make sure that like their family was good and putting themselves second, where I feel like now, I would speak for myself because, you know, we all different, but I feel like from now I'm like, okay, well, I like it over here. It's quiet, you know, I don't have too much responsibility. I don't have to sacrifice a lot. But eventually, like, there's going to be a time in my life where it's not just about me anymore. And I have to look at that not from a place of what I'm losing, but what I'm gaining based off of the sacrifices that my mom and, you know, family did in the past. So they just did it. We now have to like make room for it in a sense, you know.
And what's crazy, y'all, is I don't know if y'all ever think of like sit back and reflect. Our parents did all these things like in their 20s.
Early
20s. Like,
yeah.
Literally, when 23, 24, I'm like,
that's
thinking about ourselves at 23, 24.
They were different adults.
Had
to be different
true.
adults back then.
3 or 4 kids at 23, and you're still
moving to a new country.
Like you're still young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have to.
It's not like they're in their 40s, like
mature. They're mature to.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sacrificing this much at 23.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would say happiness is one of the sacrifices as well, especially for the mothers. There was times growing up where you know your mom. So it's like some days if you want to ask them something, you have to gauge when they come home, like, do they have an attitude? Is she happy? And there'd be times where my mom would just like be in a bad mood and she'd be like, I told you to watch this. I told you to take the chicken out of the fridge. And you didn't. And I'd be like, oh my God, like what is her problem? Blah, blah, blah. Not realizing like this woman just worked 8, 9, 10 hours. She's coming home. She's stressed. So I feel like the happiness was something that they sacrificed, where our generation, our happiness is our priority.
We're not giving that up.
Exactly. So I feel like that's a luxury that we get, like in our generation. We focus more on like what's making me happy.
I think that's like all Black people. Like, you need to take the chicken out the freezer.
Oh my God. It's like you always remember when they're like 30 minutes away.
Trying to like start washing water, cleaning things and doing all this.
You had one job, bro. Let it defrost properly. And as a kid, you just think, I used to think putting hot water on it. They know. Like, as an adult, the chicken.
She knows, right? Put it out.
I feel like I understand my mom so much more now that, like Vaida said, like I work. I'm like, no wonder you had an attitude. You probably had a bad day, or you're
and then
tired.
You come home to like the house a mess. I would be ready to throw things
I get on my
too.
siblings. That's the thing. When I go back home, like I'm just like, Mama's at work and y'all can't even wash a plate. Like I get mad for her. Or even like, and my parents in their relationship, like whenever growing up, I used to feel so bad for my dad. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, chill. Like, you know what I mean? But now as a woman, like as someone who, you know, dates men, I'm just like, no, my mom actually has a point.
Right. Very valid point.
You could have got this from the right thing from the store. Right. Like, I understand that nagging comes from someone that wasn't heard the first time. And I'm just like, I'm like, no, I see where she's coming from now that I'm older. For sure.
And after a long day, that could be your 13th reason.
Listen,
like you come in and the house is a mess and everybody is just about to hear you for the next 2 hours. Just because.
But I want to ask Elisa, because she's the only person on the panel who's actually a mother. How is it navigating motherhood? Like, obviously you grew up here, first generation. How is it navigating that?
Okay, well, I mean, what I could say, because I was blessed enough to like have my mom and my grandmom to be able to help me. So I was able to like go to work, you know, just like if I wanted to go out, I could have that option.
Support.
And I was working as well too, but so it was just like, it was easier than like a lot of people, but I wouldn't really like, you know, advise anybody to like have kids without like having the right partner. So, but like it was a pretty, I mean, I don't know. I could just say it was easy for me just because I had the support. And that's really what it is. It takes a village to be able to like take care of the kids and stuff like that. And I mean, I was going to actually talk about like the sacrifice with my mom. I mean, because my mom was, she was a model in her 20s. So she was in Germany. She was traveling.
My mom told me how your mom used to bring all the latest fashions for them overseas and stuff. She was that girl. My mom
so she was doing that. But I mean, like, obviously the sacrifice that she had to like, I mean, I don't know what happened, the arranged marriage or what really happened for her to like, decided to like give up modeling, and then now being a mom and a wife and stuff like that. So I mean, she did sacrifice, but I could say that she did a little bit enjoy herself.
That's
as well.
good.
I love that.
That's good.
We got to get Auntie on to ask her about her
I know.
experience as a model back then.
Yes.
I had no idea. I knew she was overseas and like doing big things. I didn't know she was a model.
My mom told me she was like a fashion model.
That is
in Europe.
Yeah, and your mom is the sweetest. Everyone's mom here is so
I know.
sweet.
Yeah,
she's so sweet.
So she was like the original like
it girl.
No, okay. I love it.
Here, put some respect. Shout out to Veronica.
So that is a huge sacrifice. Like being able to be like a fashion model and then having to
give it up
to have your family and to have a husband. Like our culture really pushes us to have a husband.
It doesn't matter how successful you are until you have that. You're
not
nothing.
Successful. So do you guys feel like in that arena of like starting families and like having a husband is something that our parents did well? Because our generation is kind of struggling to get to that threshold of marriage, and because I'm not seeing a lot of marriages. Right. Sorry, y'all. Haven't seen a lot of South Sudanese. I know. I'm like, I might be wrong. Let me know if you guys see a lot of your people getting married. I know in Australia I see marriages, but
that's true.
Here I don't really see us getting married. So it's like, is that something that maybe our parents did do well, that they were able to accomplish, that maybe we could learn from?
I don't know if I would say it did well, but I think one thing I can like stem it back to is having community. Having community. It always goes back to having community. You have a village, right? I feel like our parents, from my recollection, is like heavy in their community. Our community. Yeah. So you have that like this installation of like, okay, you grow up, you do these certain things, and now you have to get ready to have a husband or wife. Right. Us being here in the U.S. or UK or Australia, wherever the case may be, it's more like it's more enjoyment, it's that culture of like, if it happens, it happens. If not, it's not. It's very trendy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say, but I feel like for our parents, is more like you had community who instilled culture, like heavy on cultural beliefs, and things that we did certain ways. Yeah. Us now, it's kind of like
yeah. And I would say that's a sacrifice as well. I don't recall my mom ever having enjoyment or going out, like, or
shopping,
girls' night.
Yes.
Like they never really had that opportunity. She did that later on when we got older. But in your 20s is when you really get to enjoy like your youth. Yeah. So I think that's something that she definitely sacrificed for her family, was to be a good mother, and be present. But also still working 2 jobs. It's just like, that's so, I can't even imagine. And so I think that's something that we
they
take
definitely
for
got
granted.
the short end of the stick with that. Because traditionally, I know women usually wouldn't work back home. Usually the man would work and they would take care of the family in the house, so they could manage that better. But being thrown into like war and having to come to America, wherever they came to, now you're expected to still be that wife, but you have to work too to support the family.
That
so
is
you don't get, you get the short end of the stick on both ends. I really feel for our mothers on that.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like their lives started, like their adulthood started earlier, where we have here in America, like if you want to go to college, you still have that like extra 4-year break. But I think about it even from my mom's standpoint. I think when she got pregnant before my brother, I think she was like 19 or something. But like the fact that she was even in that mindset already to be a wife, be a mother that early, and take that on was, I couldn't fathom, right? Like living here in America and growing up in America. But I think the times were different too, and also what Cynthia mentioned too, like the power to choose. I think we have so many options, and we just think like,
sometimes too many
options. And I feel like with them it was just very like, oh, we're from the same tribe, or like our parents know each other, or we're from the same.
It's time.
It's time. Like send you off and you go. Here we're like, I'm 30. It's like 30.
Sarah and I, fun fact, we just had a cabin trip that we went on last weekend. Sarah, Janet and I.
Yes.
And Sarah, you had mentioned something about how one of your family members was saying how we were so old.
Yes.
Like how back home at 18, 19, 20, like in Sudan or South Sudan, that's kind of the age where you're supposed to be getting married.
Yeah.
That's what he said. I feel like it's a different time too, because back then it's like that's the age where you're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
So for our generation, we have the opportunity to go to school.
Yes.
So now it's like 18, 19. I'm thinking about going to college. I'm not thinking about becoming a wife and a mother.
I feel like it's like different cultures within South Sudan have different perspectives, and also like thinking about child marriage is very like prevalent in South Sudan. So they're thinking 18, 19-year-old, but sometimes people are also thinking 14, 15 is appropriate.
Right.
So
right.
really context matters. Like everything about my parents, like they got married very young, and my mom was telling me how even, I think they were like, my mom was 19 or 20. She was like 19, I think. And even she was telling me how her mom was like telling her that she was too young. Like that was a concern at the time. Like she was like, oh, I think you're a bit too young to like get married and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I think culture does like play a role too when it comes to like who's ready for what. Also, think about the educational opportunity in South Sudan for girls specifically in general. You know, like they don't follow a similar like progression, or like they don't have as many opportunities to pursue, you know, careers and education. But in America we do, so that changes our timeline a bit. So
for sure, absolutely, yeah,
that's all good points. How do you define womanhood based on our cultural backgrounds, like in this generation? Like, what does that look like for you, knowing the way things have been and then the way we've grown up? Like, what does womanhood mean for you?
Ooh, I think womanhood for me means being selfless, because that's what my mother was, and prioritizing family. I think I still have a lot of those like South Sudanese traditional ideas of like womanhood, and I just kind of also add in like how I grew up here in America. Like education is also important to me, and being sufficient, being able to take care of yourself, but still not forgetting my South Sudanese like cultural identity, as far as like, you know, I still want to get married. Like that's not, it's not like I'm like, oh no, I don't need no man. Like I know I want to get married, but I don't feel like I need to. Like that's not like my first priority in life. As in like in South Sudan, it's a woman, you grow up, you get to a certain age, you get married. Like that's a priority. Here for me, you know, just being self-sufficient is a priority, but also being selfless, being a good human being, like all of our mothers are. And just combining the two worlds of being in the diaspora, but also being South Sudanese at our core. So just finding that balance.
I love that.
That's good.
I will, you said selfless. I feel like I would flip that and be more selfish.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like when you're not whole as like the mother or the wife, I feel like your family does suffer. And your kids can pick up on the fact that you're not happy, even if you're doing all the things. It's like, I was very emotionally intelligent as a kid, so I could feel those seasons in my mom's life, like whenever I could tell she was going through something and she wasn't really happy. So I feel like as South Sudanese African women, like we need to take that time for ourselves to make sure that we're whole, so that our family ultimately benefits from it. Because if my mom's stressed or depressed, like I can feel it. I'm going to school like, wow, like what's going on with my mom? She's sad. She's like crying, or, you know, it really affects you how your mom's doing.
Yeah. That's
so I would say take more time. If you need help, just say, hey, like I need you to help me. Like I feel like communicate that to your partner. That's something that our parents probably didn't feel comfortable doing. But I feel like with our generation, it's like, no, I need help.
Because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. That's my thought process.
Yeah,
on it.
I love that.
That's good.
Anybody else have like what is your idea of womanhood?
For me, I would say like just thinking of my mom, like having your own, like she was something like she taught through like her example is just like always make sure that you have your own 2 feet to stand on, regardless of anyone else next to you. And she really is like, of course, like her and my dad, like they are married and they have a partnership, but you know, she's also someone that is capable of, you know, taking care of herself. And she also tells me, she's so funny. She's like, I don't know how people just lose themselves whenever like their relationship is bad. She's like, you know, I don't care what's going on in my relationship. I'm still gonna look good. I'm like,
that's right,
I know that's right, mama. And so just like making sure that you take care of yourself regardless of what you're going through, and not letting like whatever's going on in your relationship or like your mental health, like take that away from you. Like, she's very much a girly girl. She gets her nails done. She likes to make sure her hair's did. And I just love that.
That's such good advice.
Yeah.
And I would add to that, I would say softness, because I feel like because we grew up watching our mothers be so resilient and so strong, that I feel like there were a lot of times where I feel like my mom never really like rested, and I just saw her like flow, and just like there were moments where she was happy and just like you could see her inner child come out, but it just wasn't like, she just never felt like soft.
Right.
And it's not about a man or like how much money you have or whatever, but just really prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your self-care so that you're not burnt out. I remember, when I look back now, I feel like my mom was just in a constant stage of burnout, but she just kept going because there was no other. That became the baseline. So I feel like what I definitely want to rewrite is practicing self-care more, and like making sure that I recognize when I'm at those moments of like ultimate stress or burnout, and ask for help, or say, you know what, I need to just go have a self-care day and take care of me and do the things, get my hair done, go get a massage, like take care of myself to feel good. And I feel like that's what I saw was missing. And even though we are strong and resilient, can do all the things, that element of like femininity and just softness still needs to be there.
That's how abuse happens too. Like when they start yelling, they start beating the kids and all that. It's because they're frustrated. Like not even to be funny, but really like sometimes it's like they're so frustrated and just like fed up to where it's like, and the kids are screaming and all that. So I feel like that's something that could help with that as well, because I know that's something in South Sudanese households a little bit. Like the abuse or getting beat too much or whatever. It's like because they're overwhelmed and frustrated. So the easiest thing to do is to beat you.
And so like, you get them a little bit mad, but they're also mad from work.
There's other elements.
Exactly.
Then
you
think stress management.
It's not that.
I think it's like what everyone's been saying is like, just remember you're an individual first. So having that in mind is like, take care of yourself. It's okay to take care. I think that's something that we don't hear even now. Like it's okay to take care of yourself. Like you say, if you feel away, like tend to that. If you need to go for a walk, it's okay to go for a walk. You don't have to, what he said, keep it bottled in to where then now it does spill over into other aspects of your life. So,
at least
I mean, well, I was gonna say like I do attest to like getting mad, because I've been doing that with my daughter. I will get mad. I mean, especially like if there is something that happened and I'm just like frustrated, and I do take it, and it's bad. I do apologize to her. That's a good thing about it. But because
our parents would never.
I don't remember apologies. Girl.
I'm like, I'm sorry. That I was yelling at you. Something happened, but for the most part, like like being vulnerable, being able to like just tell your partner or your friend, like, hey, you know what, I need to talk to you about this. Just like
let it out.
Sometimes you do have to just let things out instead of just like holding it in. So
I love that.
Well, final thoughts, ladies. Anybody want to add anything to the conversation? I feel like we had a lot of good nuggets in there, especially with Vaida's mom. I love that. Don't lose yourself.
Don't lose yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Anything anybody wants to
add?
Well,
I lied a little bit about my mom. My mom not. I did. Like I lied about my mom not having like that turn up stage, because I watched the home videos and our parents would be on there having a blast. I just thought about that.
Well,
the weekend moments. People come over to each other's house. That was like their outlet. I guess. Like their.
So it wasn't like they didn't do anything.
We never
to
saw
have
them
fun.
like, I feel like how we are. We're like, let's go take a girls trip. Let's go do this. Let's go like they were going to brunch.
They just go to someone's house and play like Congolese music.
Right.
Or church.
That's their outlet. That's my parents. That's their outlet. A good overnight,
Not a good overnight. Well, this was great.
Yes, this was a really good conversation. We want everybody that's listening to also kind of think about the sacrifices that your mothers made to get you where you are now. Especially being foreigners or refugees. There's so many different ways that our parents have sacrificed, both our moms and dads. But in honor of International Women's Month, we wanted to honor our mothers and everything that they did to make us who we are today.
Right.
Yep. And go ahead.
And I would say ultimately, with all the sacrifices and everything, the best way to repay your parents would be to live your best life and make yourself as successful as you can, whatever that means for you. Because I feel like everyone has a different definition of success, but just live. Our parents came here, they wanted a better life for us, so I feel like live that better life,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for you.
Pay it
Amen.
forward.
Oh yeah,
Amen.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Ladies of Sosa. We're so happy to be back in the studio. It's been a long time, but this feels really good.
Yeah,
So therapeutic.
this felt good.
Yeah.
Yes, and we will catch you on the next episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We love you guys.
Bye.